Hi all, welcome back. In this video we are going to talk about check constraint. By using check constraint we could have much more control on the kind of data that we are going to insert. Say for example we have a salary column, and if you want to restrict the value say from 0 to 2000 or 20,000, you could use check constraint. So by using check we could simply specify the kind of value that is acceptable. So I am telling we want to insert only those values that are greater than 0. So while inserting some record, this will check whether the value satisfies the condition. So if it is condition satisfied, then only it will allow. So if you give something similar to this, check salary greater than 0, you won't be able to insert a value that is less than 0. Similarly, if you want to restrict upper limit, you could give AND condition and say that salary should be less than 20,000. So this will allow us to insert only those records that is between 0 to 20,000. And if you want to include both ends, say 0 and 20,000, you could give greater than or equal to. Similarly, if you want to restrict employee name at least minimum 3 characters, you could use check constraint. So you could specify check emp name greater than 3. But in this time we have to use one function called len. So this will give the number of character. Len means length of the value. So by using len function we are specifying all the values that are going to insert this column should have at least minimum 3. So you have to specify greater than or equal to 3. And similarly, if you want to specify the month name between some values, say a valid month name, you could use in operator. So I am going to use check constraint for hired month. So month of join, I am going to specify check, then the value are in. These are the value. So here you have to specify one column, say month of join in January, February, or which all the month you want to specify, you have to specify. So while inserting some data, this will check the value which you supposed to insert into the column month of join is matching either of them. So if it is not matching any of them, it will give an error. So let's create the table. So we have to specify so our table is created. Now let's insert some dummy data. So first I am going to insert some data. So there is no issue with this data. But when you try to insert some new record, say this time I am going to insert some salary value which is less than 20,000 but less than 0, that means a negative value, it will give an error. Say let's try to insert this data, and you could see we are getting one error saying that the constraint, check constraint is on salary is not acceptable value. So you have to specify some positive value here, and if you try it will give a success message. We inserted one row. Similarly, if you try to insert a value, say employee name as M, we are not giving enough number of character, we will get an error. Say if you try to insert a single character, you will get an error saying that check constraint on emp name is not acceptable value. Similarly, if you add one more character, now we are trying to insert 2 character, you will get an error. So this time also it won't accept. You have to give at least 3 character. So I am giving a 4 character, and if I try to execute, there won't be any issue. Salary should be less than 20,000. So I am going to give 2,000. So if you try to execute, now one new record is inserted, because salary also be specified between 0 to 20,000, and if you try to insert some value which is more than 20,000, you will get an error. That's why there was an error. Now if you look at the data, we are not inserting any valid name in the month of join. So if you try to insert this data, you will get an error saying that we are not satisfying the value that is expected for month of join. So you have to specify a value. So I'm going to use January. So you have to make sure that use correct spelling. So it will make sure you use only the proper value. So if this time also you will get an error saying that this is not acceptable value because the spelling of January is not correct. So you have to specify the correct value, and by using again the salary value is greater than 20,000, you have to specify some acceptable value in salary. So if you insert, you will get all the records. Now if you try to execute the select statement, you will get all the 10 records with the proper data. So far we saw how to use unique, not null and check constraint. In next video I will show you how to use default. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.